Before I start, here's my audience requirement. Here's my parents. And then I have a few people on call. It's not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves. Sir Edmund Hillary. So I'm going to tell a story that reflects this quote very well. But before I do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Las Vegas, Nevada, but moved to Colorado right before I turned 2. I lived all around the state. I lived in Colorado Springs for 7 years, Broomfield for another 7, and Fort Collins for the rest of my life until now. Because of this, I've grown a great affinity towards nature. When I was younger, I didn't really have this appreciation for nature. I would occasionally go hiking, maybe go fishing, but I never really appreciated it that much. When I was younger, I'd much rather play video games, practice my instrument, or study history. I was definitely much more of a bookworm than I was an outdoorsman. But as I've gotten older, I've grown a great appreciation for the outdoors. I've engaged myself in a plethora of activities. As far as winter activities go, I've been doing a lot of ice fishing for the past few years. And this is a very patient task, but at the same time, it's also very rewarding. Along with this, I'm going to my second year of snowboarding. That's also been a very fun task, but at the same time, it's very a disciplined sport. As far as summer activities go, I've been doing a lot of local fishing around Fort Collins and Longmont. This is also the same case with ice fishing, just a very patient but rewarding hobby. But by far my favorite hobby has been hiking. I've grown into hiking, I'd say, in the past few years. As I've gotten older, what really got me into hiking was learning about 14ers in Colorado. And for those who don't know, 14ers are the tallest mountains in the state, and they reside over 14,000 feet. There's a total of 58 of them. They range from class 1 to class 5 in difficulty, with class 1 being the easier ones, and class 5 being the more difficult rock climbing ones. There's a little bit of difficulty for everybody, I'd say. It's an easier hobby to get into, but still physically demanding. I was like a mountain goat this summer and climbed 9 of them. What I enjoyed these peaks the most, though, has definitely been the fact that you get much more of a mental and physical discipline out of it rather than just enjoying the views. And it's on one of these peaks in which I tell my story. So it was mid-July of this year, and I was looking at my progress for my hikes. I noticed I'd done most of the ones that were closest to me, so I decided to set eyes on a further target. In this case, it was Mount Elbert in Leadville. For those who don't know, Leadville is in the center of the state, and in my opinion is the heart of the Rockies, as it's a very elevated area. It is the highest incorporated town in the country, and Mount Elbert is the tallest peak in the country. I knew this was going to be a daunting task, but I decided, hey, I'm going to give it a shot. I got one of my friends with me, and because how isolated this area of the state is, it can be very dangerous to go out here alone. We set off from his condo the night before and made it to the trailhead before sunrise. We gathered our stuff together and started hiking. After a few hours, we got to that final slope before the summit, and we got a great view of the valley below in the Sawatch Range. We saw a few clouds in the distance, but didn't really give it much attention, as they were pretty, I'd say, scarcely separated. We made our final push up to the top, took a few photos, took our break, and finally enjoyed that view on the summit. It was at this moment we realized we were in a little bit of trouble. Some of the clouds were starting to gather together into what looked like a thunderstorm at the time. Me and my friend figured, we're not going to risk it, we need to make our way down now. So we made that push down to that section I mentioned earlier of that slope. It was at this point we realized it is bad, it is a thunderstorm. We heard thunder and it was really windy and rainy at the time. So we threw our jackets on and realized we need to hustle down now. Our goal was to get to the tree line, which is roughly 12,000 feet. This is where trees start growing again. The area we were in was very exposed to lightning and the elements. So after a few grueling hours, made it back down to the tree line, and took our break as we let this threat pass us. After the thunderstorm passed, me and my friend collected ourselves finally and took those few extra hours to finally hike down to the parking lot where my car was. It was at this point where we really got to rest and finally truly realize our accomplishment. And in the end, it was all worth it. Today I was able to tell you a story that both encompasses how I got to where I am now and also tell a story about my most memorable hike. Although this is my first time caught in this scenario, I'm sure it won't be my last.